Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 11:04 a.m. on the 26th of November 2024, and I thought it's a Tuesday, and I thought I'd carry on with reading from the Arabian Nights, translated by Sir Richard F. Burton. And yes, that shall be a bit more interesting, a bit more fun. Had a very bad night with my CPAP last night. My report this morning was I stopped breathing 5.8 times an hour, which is not good. Usually on average it's 1 to 2 times. So I don't know what went wrong last night. There was no leaking of the mask, and the humidifier was working well, and had to get up to pee about 3 times, but that shouldn't have impacted on the results. So annoying. So I feel a bit blasted apart today, and hopefully it's not going to keep spiralling under, because then I will have to have an appointment with the sleep specialist and adjust the pressures. And my nose is just a big raw fucking sore, almost necrotic rot, which is starting to freak me out a little bit, to be honest. Skin's even peeling. And I've got these kind of like slight abrasions here where the mask touches my cheekbones. So if it's not working, you know what Mama T's gonna do. She'll throw an epic fucking tantrum and I'll just quit. But we're almost into December. It's the 26th today. So I started on the 4th of July, so what's that? August, September, October, November. Nearly 5 months since I've been on the CPAP treatment. And they tell me on good authority that it takes 6 to 12 months to work. So I've got another 7 months before I can, in good conscience, throw the fucking expensive therapy away and say with great sanguinity to my doctors, I told you so. But that's negative thinking, because I've got to persevere, people of Earth. They've invested so heavily in my wellness and sorting out the CPAP issue, which is negligible. It didn't work for me in 2003 either, but they didn't believe me that it didn't work for me. Thought I was being histrionic or exaggerating. No, I never exaggerate when it comes to my health. I'm very fair-minded and pragmatic about it. And I know how fucking treatment resistant I am to everything. It's because I drowned a few times as a child, and I reckon that's the source of the breathing, or maybe the breathing issues got tampered with the 3 strangulations. I don't know. It's either the primary wounding when I was a child, with the drownings and the constant trauma and the constant, near deaths with my lungs, like when I was 4 when I had whooping cough and measles. So my brain or my breathing mechanism is rewired somehow. They even can't explain why there's an anomaly. So I have to just keep choosing life, people of Earth, and being determined and living my best life and not giving in, which is emblematic of me when I'm dancing wildly on the weekend. My Friday nights, moshing and being wild, that's me, not giving in to Lady Death, who courts me rather indulgently and romantically on a daily basis, babies. So anyway, it is what it is. I don't know why I'm not improving. One would think 5 months in I would have seen a marked improvement by now. But my bladder has slightly improved. I mean, I only got up 3 times during the night, which is a new bad night. A bad night used to be 8 to 20 times a night. So it's improved, but it hasn't resolved it completely. But I've noticed that I'm holding larger volumes than I used to during the night too. I used to be up constantly. It was fucking crazy making. So anyway, no one wants to hear all about the minutiae of my bladder and my sleep apnea and my ridiculous absurdist life. So we'll carry on. You've already heard about it because it's what I felt inspired to talk about today. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I want to have a beautiful life with a beautiful man by my side one day, and the more I slip back into worse health outcomes, the less likely that is to ever happen. So it's heartbreaking for me. I'm taking it quite personally. But at any rate, there's no one around me that wants me anyway, sick or healthy. It's all semantics. So I don't know why I'm grinding my gears. I just need to breathe and stay in the moment and live each moment as it comes. I don't know why, but either my eyeglasses or spectacles keep clouding over, or I've got really bad blurred vision. No, it's not so bad, and I gave them another wipe over. By the gods. I get blurred vision when I have very bad nights of not much sleep too. So I'm a bit of a mess, people of Earth. So you have to bear with me when I read my stories, and I'm moving in and out, and I've noticed I'm repeating stories ad nauseum from my life. Dear goddess, that's a sign of beginnings of dementia too, quite frankly, which I'm terrified of. But anyway, my psychiatrist tells me that as a trauma survivor, repeating stories over and over and over again is a way of how my mind heals itself too. Repeating the story until at some point in time the story no longer needs to be repeated, or I've healed from that aspect of myself. And that makes sense. He's a very kind, soulful, loving man, and in his professional capacity understands why I ramble on ad nauseum the way I do. There's schmutz on my, just wipe that off, yuck. And why my brain defragments and reconfigures the way it has done. But yes, so on we go. We'll read beautiful stories not of my own, as I'm still making my beautiful story. I'm still very happy that Brooklyn Standard posted that lovely video of the 10th birthday party, and that you can see me in the focal point. I don't know if that was done by accident or by design, or if the gods just had that perspective, but it's something out of a masterpiece. Me standing in my red Mexican dress, holding court. Fabulous. It's a fabulous video, and I'm really loving that. You know, me who has no family to speak of and abandoned by my own children, and so Mama T gets to ship nachas in her own mad berserker strange ways, and it's all I've got left out of a fucking shattered life. I mean, I could cry, but I've cried rivers and oceans and entire multiverses into being, so there's no point in crying. I will choose to be happy, no matter what, no matter where, no matter who. Maybe it's manic denial, maybe it's a whole new brand of insanity we've never quite quantified before, but I choose to be happy. Sick, healthy, wild, carefree, beaten down by the fates. I choose to be happy. So in my happiness, let us read the tale of the trader with the Jinni. It is related, O auspicious king, that there was a merchant of the merchants who had much wealth and business in various cities. Just want to show you the illustrations. Quite beautiful illustrations. And, you know, the art needs to be appreciated along with the story. Now on a day he mounted horse, and went forth to recover monies in certain towns, and the heat sore oppressed him. So he sat beneath a tree, and putting his hand into his saddlebags, took thence some broken bread and dried dates, and began to break his fast. When he had ended eating the dates, he threw away the stones with force, and lo, an Ifrit appeared. I take it Ifrit means spirit or Jinni, because that seems to be what they're calling the genies when they're not specifically saying genie. So just work with me, people. That's my interpretation. Shall we Google it? I haven't looked it up. We'll Google it just to make sure I'm right and not giving false information based on my own lack of knowledge, which is not the same as lying. It just means you don't know what you don't freaking know. However, see also COVID epoch. I was so often accused of misinformation when I was actually right the whole fucking time. But anyway, Ifrit, also spelled E-F-R-E-E-T or A-F-R-E-T or A-F-R-E-E-T. Here we have it. Is a powerful type of demon in Islamic culture. The Afarit are often associated with the underworld and identified with the spirits of the dead, and have been compared to evil genii loci in European culture. Ifrit possess magical powers which can be used to trick men, often appearing to be helpful, but with bad consequences. Like other jinn, Ifrit can grant wishes to humans, or attempt to distract or tempt them into wrongdoing. Well, I was close. I was almost right when I said a spirit. Can be spirits of the dead, they said. David Davidson comes to mind, trying to tempt and seduce me into him helping me with my love life. Then I had a moment of panic at one stage some months ago, thinking maybe I should let him. How bad could it be? Can't be any worse than what I'm already failing at. And I thought, no, that's how they get you in the end. Playing on your insecurities and your fears and your phobias and your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities. Get thee to Gehenna, demon-spawned spirit. Ifrit Daoud Davidson, whatever name he's utilising from the ether now. However, it's all very interesting, the synchronicities. And the one who loves me even with my weird, quirky spiritual ways, by the way. Has to, because we're never going to change. Taken a lifetime to be this weird and quirky and spiritual, and it's in my psyche, it's in my blood, it's in my bones, it's every fibre of my being, and even the Ifrits know not to fuck with that too much. They like to stir me up a little bit from time to time. Like the young man that sat beside me one night at the Brooklyn Standard one evening, would have been a Friday evening, looks at me meaningfully, sitting quite calmly, peacefully beside me. I had him on one side and another very drunk man on the other. And he just turns to me and he said, I have the urge to hail Lucifer. So I turned to him and I said, oh, do you really, darling? Must you? Right now, this present moment in the space-time continuum, when we're all getting along swimmingly, do we really need that level of enlightenment and drama and chaos in our lives? Can't you just sit and enjoy the music? He looked at me and I showed him my tattoo. I said, I bear God's name, so Lucifer is as Lucifer does. We'll get along swimmingly as long as you don't fuck with my vibe. And he just looked at me and nodded, said, "Hail Lucifer," and I looked at him and nodded. And then we high-fived, and then we got along swimmingly. Not too swimmingly though, we didn't go there, guy friends, because he was a kid and I'm not there for hookups. I have to consistently remind them of that. I'm not there for the hookups. I'm there to support the bands. But anyway, he was quite delightful, that young man. I said, "What possessed you, of all people, to say that to me?" He said, "Dunno, I just looked at you, I felt the urge." Well, there you go. My people, dark and light, recognise my light everywhere I go, and my darkness at times. So it's kind of an acknowledgement, I guess, that he could see that I was deeply, deeply spiritual. And not many people actually observe that, when you're just hanging out, dancing, minding your own biz. So it was a bit astonishing, but also humorous. Maybe he was an ifrit, but he didn't do anything bad to me, and he didn't bear me any ill will when I said, "Do not invoke that name in my presence," especially on a Friday night when I'm trying to have fun before I die. But anyway, you have to laugh. Someone just yelled out, "Do you? Do you really?" Yes, you have to have a sense of comedy amongst the ignominy. It's profoundly necessary for your stability and your mental health. Davidson once said to me many years ago, when we'd just begun our connection, I can't call it a relationship because it was so profoundly thwarted and evil, but he once said to me, he said, it can't have been in the beginning, it must have been about a year or so in. He said to me, "Tanya, you've lost your sense of humour, and you have an amazing sense of humour, and now I'm worried." Pushing my buttons again, of course, because he was a motherfucker. So I looked at him and I said, "David, you should worry when the Tanya has lost her sense of the absurd, her sense of the bizarre, her sense of humour, which is not quite a tumour." I said, "Fucking worry." And he just looked at me and put his head down and freaked out because he knew he was button pushing. But I had actually at that point in time spiraled down into the abyss, and I was indeed struggling, and I had temporarily lost my sense of magic and mischief and awe and wonder and delight and humour, and that's when I know he was kind of on point. I was actually quite unwell in that space-time continuum, but it came back. It always does. Sometimes I can spin it on a dime. Fake it till you make it, as they say. But it's cruel. It's cruel to tell someone that they've lost their spark and their sense of humour and try and ride on them when they're down low in the gravel pits of the death spiralling, or that fool's abyss we lunge ourselves into from time to time because life's fraught and difficult and untenable at times. Never ever kick the Tanya when she's down. He found that out. What happens when you kick the Tanya when she's down. And it's spiritual, and the consequences last eons, long beyond even this life. He found out. That's why he was hammering on my door for 4 days. And all I can do now is laugh about it. The inability of him to accept that he was wrong. He did wrong by me, and he needs to make amends. So the best he can do is offer to fix my love life. That would be like letting Attila the Hun introduce you to your future partner or husband and then cut off your head. So no, hell no, we won't go. Anyway, As I said recently to someone, can't remember who, I've lost my head before over a man in the past, and I will simply not allow that to happen again. And that, oh, yes, I remember who that was. And they smiled sanguinely and said, I know. I wonder how they knew that. How did they know that for certain? Anyway, Mama T will not be losing her head. She will keep her heart very well contained and well calibrated. It came up in my memories on Facebook where I made a joke about my love addictions. And back in the day when I did have a serious love addiction with that dreadlocked nitwit boy wonder that will never know what his agenda really was because it was just so putrescent. However, that too was a kind of a healing in a most profoundly awful fucking way. And I'm done healing in profound, awful ways. Here I wrote, 2016. The world is dying or gone rampantly mad, and all I have is love addictions gone bad. Sad. Valium, anyone? And it's kind of an in-joke about my mental health. I don't actually exist on Valium. And already by 2016 I'd weaned off all my psych meds. And Valium was verboten since it was the vehicle by which I attempted suicide back in 21st, 22nd of August 2015. So I was joking in a dark, tumescent humour that not everyone comprehends because you had to have lived it to understand it. I was actually fucking joking. But however, I wasn't joking about the fact the world was dying and gone rampantly mad, and 4 years later we found that out for a fact, did we not? Mama T and her ramblings and her intuitions are very often on point. On guard! But anyway, my beautiful friend Kellyanne wrote comments. I'm coming over with the Valium, and she lives in Perth, WA, which is the other side of this huge continent. And I said, she said, this will be fun. I said, Valium? Fun? Valium's not a fun drug. I guess unless you mix it with other substances, in which case you've got issues, babies. Major fucking issues. But I don't dabble in that kind of thing. I have too much trouble keeping my mind straight, being straight. So can you imagine what would have happened to my brain if I had gone into full-blown drug addiction of any kind? So I just skirt around things and avoid most things and try to stay sane in the membrane. Anyway, where were we? He threw the dates with force and lo, and Ifrit, which we now know means demon, appeared, huge of stature and brandishing a drawn sword, wherewith he approached the merchant and said, Stand up, that I may slay thee, even as thou slewest my son. I like how he gave him the opportunity to stand up before he cut him down. That shows a certain noblesse oblige. Asked the merchant, How have I slain thy son? And he answered, When thou atest dates and threwest away the stones, they struck my son full in the breast as he was walking by, so that he died forthwith. I'd be fairly pissed off if that happened to my kids too. Seriously, I would be. Anyway, quoth the merchant, Verily from Allah we proceeded, and unto Allah are we returning. It's a definition of chutzpah, isn't it? He's just killed a demon's son, and he's telling him everything goes back. We come from God, we return to God. I would have slashed his head off just at that line. It's true though. It's a truism, an aphorism. But there's a time and a place, people of earth. There is no majesty and there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. If I slew thy son, I slew him by chance medley. I pray thee now pardon me. Rejoined the Jinni, there is no help, but I must slay thee. Then he seized him and dragged him along, and casting him to the earth, raised the sword to strike him, whereupon the merchant wept and said, I commit my case to Allah, and began repeating these couplets. Containeth time a twain of days, this of blessing, that of bane. It's true, life is like that, babies. And holdeth life a twain of halves, this of pleasure, that of pain. Seest not when blows the hurricane, sweeping stark and striking strong, none save the forest giant feels the suffering of the strain? How many trees earth nourisheth of the dry and of the green, yet none but those which bear the fruits, forecast of stone, complain. Seest not how corpses rise and float on the surface of the tide, while pearls of price lie hidden in the deepest of the main? In heaven are unnumbered the many of the stars, yet ne'er a star but sun and moon by eclipse is overtaken. Well judgest thou the days that saw thy faring sound and well, and countest not the pangs and pain whereof fate is ever fain. The nights have kept thee safe, and the safety brought thee pride, but bliss and blessings of the night are genderers of bane. When the merchant ceased repeating his verses, the Jinni said to him, Cut thy words short, by Allah, needs must I slay thee. But the merchant spake him thus, Know, O thou Ifrit, that I have debts due to me, and much wealth, and children, and a wife, and many pledges in hand. So permit me to go home and discharge to every claimant his claim. He's looking at you, Ethicon, and the Queensland government. And I will come back to thee at the head of the new year. Allah be my testimony and surety that I will return to thee, and then thou mayst do with me as thou wilt, and Allah is witness to what I say. The Jinni took sure promise of him and let him go. So he returned to his own city and transacted his business and rendered to all men their dues. A truly decent and honouring man. I like him, although he killed the Jinni's kid with a date pit, but shit happens, I guess. And I'm joking. May that shit never happen to me. I've got enough solace. Even the Jinnis are laughing at me now. Yes, she has. She's had enough sorrows, they said. We've got the finger of the gods upon her. We'll steer her this way, we'll steer her that way. But she's our girl forevermore, dear goddess. I am too. There's no respite from it. That's my reality, people of earth. I'm their girl. Belong to no man, woman or child but the gods. Some of them aren't too fond of me either, but according to their positions in the multiverse, but that's okay. We all fit, light and dark, spiralling into infinity. We all have our roles to play. By the gods. By the gods. That's a truism I can't quite quantify in my own body, mind and spirit. So much evil has been done to me. Even the Luciferians recognise me when they meet me. And I nod politely and they nod politely. Because we're all a blend of our own magic and spirituality. The Jinni took sure promise of him. Oh, I read that. Where are we, my people of earth? He rendered to all men their dues. And after informing his wife and children of what had betided him, he appointed a guardian and dwelt with them for a full year. Then he arose and made the wuzu ablution to purify himself before death, and took his shroud under his arm, and bade farewell to his people, his neighbours, and all his kith and kin, and went forth despite his own nose. They then began weeping and wailing and beating their breasts over him, but he travelled until he arrived at the same garden, and the day of his arrival was the head of the new year. As he sat weeping over what had befallen him, behold, a sheikh, a very ancient man, drew near leading a chained gazelle, and he saluted that merchant, and wishing him long life, said, "What is the cause of thy sitting in this place, and thou alone, and this be a resort of evil spirits?" The merchant related to him what had come to pass with the Ifrit. And the old man, the owner of the gazelle, wondered and said, "By Allah, O brother, thy faith is none other than exceeding faith, and thy story right strange. Were it graven with gravers on the eye corners, it were a warner to whoso should be warned." Then, seating himself near the merchant, he said, "By Allah, O my brother, I will not leave thee until I see what may come to pass with thee and this Ifrit." And presently, as he sat, and the two were at talk, the merchant began to feel fear and terror and exceeding grief and sorrow beyond relief, and ever-growing care and extreme despair. And the owner of the gazelle was hard by his side, when behold, a second sheikh approached them. And with him were two dogs, both of greyhound breed, and both black. The second old man, after saluting them with the salam, also asked them of their tidings, and said, "What causes you to sit in this place, a dwelling of the Jann?" So they told him the tale from beginning to end, and their stay there had not lasted long before there came a third sheikh, and with him a she-mule of bright bay coat, and he saluted them and asked them why they were seated in that place. So they told him the story from first to last, and of no avail, O my master, is a twice told tale. I know, I know. It's a sign of old age. There he sat down with them, and lo, a dust cloud advanced, and a mighty sent devil appeared amidmost of the waste. It's interesting language. A mighty sand. I wonder if that should have said sand devil. I think that's a typo. A mighty sand devil appeared amidst of the waste. I think that's a typo. Well, what do you expect for $38? By the gods. But it's a beautifully bound book and pretty. There's been a few errors I've picked up on already. So anyway, that's life, people. Nothing is meant to be perfection. Everything must have its flaws. Sometimes through too many flaws, but it is what it is. Presently the cloud opened, and behold, within it was that Jinni, hending in hand a drawn sword, while his eyes were shooting fire, sparks of rage. He came up to them, and, howling away the merchant from among them, cried to him, Arise, that I may slay thee, as thou slewest my son, the life stuff of my liver. Wouldn't he be the life stuff of his scrotum, sperm? I guess they didn't know in those days where everything came from. Anyhow, the merchant wailed and wept, and the three old men began sighing and crying and weeping and wailing with their companion. Presently, the first old man, the owner of the gazelle, came out from among them and kissed the hand of the Ifrit and said, O Jinni, thou crown of the kings of the Jann, were I to tell thee the story of me and this gazelle, and thou shouldst consider it wondrous, wouldst thou give me a third part of this merchant's blood? Thought they were his friends hanging around, waiting to see the final outcome. One never can tell. Then, quoth the Jinni, even so, O Shaykh, if thou tell me this tale, and I hold it a marvellous, then will I give thee a third of his blood. Thereupon the old man began to tell the first Shaykh's story. The first Shaykh's story. I love how there's a story within the story, within the story, within the story. Like the beautiful geometric patterning that Arabic people do in their mosaics. It's like a Fibonacci sequence or a Mandelbrot patterning. It's a gift that keeps giving. Like Mama T's weird stories. One day when I'm gone and I'm mere dust and ashes blown on the winds of time, no one will remember me, but our stories will remain. Of that I am certain. Blessed be. That's the whole point of storytelling, babies, to preserve memory and culture and time and place. Long gone, sometimes long forgotten. There's an ant in my book. Get out, ant. Don't belong there. Know, O Jinni, that this gazelle is the daughter of my paternal uncle, my own flesh and blood, and I married her when she was a young maid, and I lived with her well nigh 30 years. Yet was I not blessed with issue by her. Thank God for that, with all that incest that would have been damaging to the family DNA line. It happened a lot in the old days. So I took me a concubine, who brought to me the boon of a male child, fair as the full moon, with eyes of lovely shine and eyebrows which formed one line and limbs of perfect design. Little by little he grew in stature and waxed tall, and when he was a lad 15 years old, it became needful I should journey to certain cities, and I travelled with great store of goods. But the daughter of my uncle, this gazelle, had learned gramarye and egromancy and clerkly craft from her childhood. So she bewitched that son of mine to a calf, and my handmaid, his mother, to a heifer, and made them over to the herdsman's care. Now when I returned after a long time from my journey, and asked for my son and his mother, she answered me, saying, Thy slave girl is dead, and thy son hath fled, and I know not whither he is sped. So I remained for a whole year, with a grieving heart and streaming eyes, until the time came for the great festival of Allah. Then sent I to my herdsman, bidding him choose for me a fat heifer, and he brought me one, which was the damsel, my handmaid, whom this gazelle had ensorcelled. Ensorcelled, think they mean changed by magic. No, you can Google it. ENSORCELLED. Put in some effort for my effort, people of earth. I tucked up my sleeves and skirt, and, taking a knife, proceeded to cut her throat, but she lowed aloud and wept bitter tears. Thereat I marvelled, and pity seized me, and I held my hand, saying to the herd, Bring me other than this. Then cried my cousin, Slay her, for I have not a fatter nor a fairer. Once more I went forward to sacrifice her, but she again lowed aloud, upon which in ruth I refrained, and commanded the herdsman to slay her and flay her. He killed her and skinned her, but found in her neither fat nor flesh, only hide and bone, and I repented when penitence availed me naught. I gave her to the herdsman and said to him, Fetch me a fat calf. So he brought my son ensorcelled. When the calf saw me, he brake his tether and ran to me, and fawned upon me, and wailed and shed tears, so that I took pity on him and said to the herdsman, Bring me a heifer, and let this calf go. Thereupon my cousin, this gazelle, called aloud at me, saying, Needs must thou kill this calf. This is a holy day, and a blessed, whereon naught is slain, save what be perfect, pure. And we have not amongst our calves any fatter or fairer than this. Quoth I, Look thou upon the condition of the heifer, which I slaughtered at thy bidding, and how we turned from her in disappointment, and she profited us on no wise, and I repent with an exceeding repentance of having killed her. For this time, I will not obey thy bidding, for the sacrifice of this calf. Quoth she, by Allah the Most Great, the Compassionating, the Compassionate, there is no help for it. Thou must kill him on this holy day, and if thou kill him, not to me, thou art no man, and I to thee am no wife. When the merchant purposed the sacrifice of the calf, Pitt saw it weeping. His heart relented, and he said to the herdsman, Keep the calf among my cattle. All this the old sheikh told the Jinni, who marvelled much at these strange words. Then the owner of the gazelle continued, this book's extremely heavy and my hand is aching. It's aching from holding it. Even all my skin cancer scars have started twinging. Oh, the joys of getting older when I've bought more time on this planet than I probably should have bought, and it's beyond the realms of human possibility and astonishing at times. So I complain now of old age and aches and pains and health issues, but I still delight in each day in every way. And I'm looking forward to my beautiful life with my beautiful man that's still up there in the ether, waiting to be plucked, like the ripest fruition of my dreaming, and sucked from at the appointed time, with the appointed person, chosen by the gods, a good and kind, loyal and faithful, passionate, romantic, heartfelt, honouring man, to my beloved one, out there somewhere. Oh, you have to laugh. Oh, I'm going to die like this, alone, with nothing but nebulous dreams in the ether. But in the meantime, I'll keep dancing. Just saying, babies. Right, where was I? I heard someone yell out, He's here! No, he isn't. He's so not here. But they like to stir me up, you know, the Jinni and the Fae and the mischievous ones. We're not stirring you up. Yes, you are. You've been stirring me up for 59 and a half decades since I arrived on this planet by the gods. Not half decades. 59 and a half years. Anyway, where was I? Then, so the genie's marvelling much at these strange words. Then the owner of the gazelle continued, O Lord of the kings of the Jann, this much took place, and my uncle's daughter, this gazelle, looked on and saw it, and said, Butcher me this calf, for surely it is a fat one. But I bade the herdsman take it away, and he took it and turned his face homewards. On the next day, as I was sitting in my own house, lo, the herdsman came, and, standing before me, said, O my master, I will tell thee a thing which shall gladden thy soul, and shall gain me the gift of good tidings. I answered, Even so. Then said he, O merchant, I have a daughter, and she learned magic in her childhood from an old woman who lived with us. Yesterday, when thou gavest me the calf, I went into the house to her, and she looked upon it and veiled her face. Then she wept and laughed alternately, and at last she said, O my father, hath mine honour become so cheap to thee, that thou bringest into me strange men? I asked her, Where be these strange men, and why wast thou laughing and crying? And she answered, Of a truth this calf which is with thee is the son of our master the merchant, but he is ensorcelled by his stepdame, who bewitched both him and his mother. Such is the cause of my laughing. Now the reason of his weeping is his mother, for that his father slew her unawares. Then I marvelled at this with exceeding marvel, and hardly made sure that day had dawned before I came to tell thee. When I heard, O Jinni, my herdsman's words, I went out with him, and I was drunken without wine, from the excess of joy and gladness which came upon me until I reached his house. There his daughter welcomed me and kissed my hand, and forthwith the calf came and formed upon me as before. Quoth I to the herdsman's daughter, Is this true that thou sayest of this calf? Quoth she, Yea, O my master, is he thy son, the very core of thy heart? I rejoiced and said to her, O maiden, if thou wilt release him, thine shall be whatever cattle and property of mine is under thy father's hand. She smiled and answered, O my master, I have no greed for the goods, nor will I take them save on two conditions. The first, that thou marry me to thy son, and the second, that I may bewitch her who bewitched him, and imprison her, otherwise I cannot be safe from her malice and malpractices. Now, when I heard, O Jinni, these, the words of the herdsman's daughter, I replied, Beside what thou askest, all the cattle and the household stuff in thy father's charge are thine. And as for the daughter of my uncle, her blood is lawful to thee. When I had spoken, she took a cup and filled it with water. Then she recited a spell over it and sprinkled it upon the calf, saying, If Almighty Allah created thee a calf, remain so shaped and change not. But if thou be enchanted, return to thy whilom former form, by command of Allah Most Highest. And lo, he trembled and became a man. Then I fell on his neck and said, Allah upon thee, tell me all that the daughter of my uncle did by thee and by thy mother. And when he told me what had come to pass between them, I said, O my son, Allah favoured thee with one to restore thee, and my right hath returned to thee. Thy right hath returned to thee. Then, O Jinni, I married the herdsman's daughter to him, and she transformed my wife into this gazelle, saying, Her shape is a comely, and by no means loathsome. After this she abode with us night and day and night, till the Almighty took her to himself. When she deceased, my son fared forth to the cities of Hind or Hind, even maybe Hindi, meaning India. I think that's what they're referencing there. Even to the city of this man, who hath done to thee what hath been done. And I also took this gazelle, my cousin, and wandered with her from town to town, seeking tidings of my son, till destiny drove me to this place, where I saw the merchant sitting in tears. Such is my tale. Quoth the Jinni, this story is indeed strange, and therefore I grant thee the third part of his blood. Thereupon the second old man, who owned the 2 greyhounds, came up and said, O Jinni, if I recount to thee what befell me from my brothers, these 2 hounds, and thou see that it is a tale even more wondrous and marvellous than what thou hast heard, wilt thou grant to me also the third of this man's blood? Replied the Jinni, thou hast my word for it, if thine adventures be more marvellous and wondrous. Thereupon he thus began the second sheikh's story. The second sheikh's story. Know, O Lord of the kings of the Jann, that these 2 dogs are my brothers, and I am the third. Now when our father died and left us a capital of 3,000 gold pieces, I opened a shop with my share and bought and sold therein, and in like guise did my 2 brothers, each setting up a shop. But I had been in business no long while before the elder sold his stock for 1,000 dinars, and after buying outfit and merchandise, went his ways to foreign parts. Pardon me. He was absent 1 whole year with the caravan, but one day as I sat in my shop, behold, a beggar stood before me, asking alms, and I said to him, Allah open thee another door, whereupon he answered, weeping the while, am I so changed that thou knowest me not? Then I looked at him narrowly, and lo, it was my brother. So I rose to him and welcomed him. Then I seated him in my shop and put questions concerning his case. Ask me not, answered he, my wealth is a waste, and my state hath waxed unstated. So I took him to the hammam bath, and clad him in a suit of my own, and gave him lodging in my house. Moreover, after looking over the accounts of my stock and trade, and the profits of my business, I found that industry had gained me 1,000 dinars, while my principal, the head of my wealth, amounted to 2,000. So I shared the whole with him, saying, assume that thou hast made no journey abroad, but hast remained at home, and be not cast down by thine ill luck. What a wonderful brother. He took the share in great glee, and opened for himself a shop, and matters went on quietly for a few nights and days. But presently my second brother, yon other dog, also setting his heart upon travel, sold off what goods and stock and trade he had, and albeit we tried to stay him, he would not be stayed, he laid in an outfit for the journey and fared forth with certain wayfarers. After an absence of a whole year, he came back to me, even as my elder brother had come back. And when I said to him, "O my brother, did I not dissuade thee from travel?" he shed tears and cried, "O my brother, this be destiny's decree. Here I am, a mere beggar, penniless, and without a shirt to my back." So I led him to the bath, O Jinni, and clothing him in new clothes of my own wear, I went with him to my shop and served him with meat and drink. Furthermore I said to him, "O my brother, I am wont to cast up my shop accounts at the head of every year, and whatso I shall find of surplusage is between me and thee." So I proceeded, O Ifrit, to strike a balance, and finding 2,000 dinars of profit, I returned praises to the Creator, be he extolled and exalted, and made over one half to my brother, keeping the other to myself. Thereupon he busied himself with opening a shop, and on this wise we abode many days. After a time, my brothers began pressing me to travel with them, but I refused, saying, "What gained ye by travel voyage that I should gain thereby?" As I would not give ear to them, we went back, each to his own shop, where we bought and sold as before. They kept urging me to travel for a whole 12 months, but I refused to do so till full 6 years were past and gone, when I consented with these words: "O my brothers, here am I, your companion of travel. Now let me see what monies you have by you." I found, however, that they had not a doit, having squandered their substance in high diet and drinking and carnal delights. Yet I spoke not a word of reproach. So far from it, I looked over my shop accounts once more, and sold what goods in stock and trade were mine, and finding myself the owner of 6,000 ducats, I think it is, of 6,000 ducats, I gladly proceeded to divide that sum in halves, saying to my brothers, "These 3,000 gold pieces are for me and for you to trade withal," adding, "Let us bury the other moiety underground, that it may be of service in case any harm befall us, in which case each shall take 1,000 wherewith to open shops." Both replied, "Right is thy recking," and I gave to each one his 1,000 gold pieces, keeping the same sum for myself, to wit, 1,000 dinars. We then got ready suitable goods and hired a ship, and having embarked our merchandise, proceeded on our voyage day following day, a full month, after which we arrived at a city where we sold our venture, and for every piece of gold we gained 10. And as we turned again to our voyage, we found on the shore of the sea a maiden clad in worn and ragged gear, and she kissed my hand and said, "O master, Is there kindness in thee, and charity? I can make thee a fitting return for them. I answered, Even so, truly in me are benevolence and good works, even though thou render me no return. Then she said, Take me to wife, O my master, and carry me to thy city, for I have given myself to thee. So do me a kindness, and I am of those who be meet for good works and charity. I will make thee a fitting return for these, and be thou not shamed by my condition. When I heard her words, my heart yearned towards her, in such sort as willed it Allah, be he extolled and exalted, and took her and clothed her, and made ready for her a fair resting place in the vessel, and honourably entreated her. It sounds to me like a lovely man who honourably entreats a poor and broken down woman cast aside by her own evil society, holds her in great honour because he sees her for her true magic and the jewel that resides within. Sweet. I'm liking the story so far. So we voyaged on. I have to live vicariously through other stories, you understand. But I have been treated like a queen in the past 15 months. People who understand my magic and who honour it in strange and magical ways themselves. Oh. So we voyaged on, and my heart became attached to her with exceeding attachment, and I was separated from her neither night nor day. Oh, true love! And I paid more regard to her than to my brothers. Then they were estranged from me, and waxed jealous of my wealth and the quantity of merchandise I had, and their eyes were opened covetously upon all my property, which is a great evil given how much he had gifted to them in support of them when they were in hard times. Humans. So they took counsel to murder me and seize my wealth, saying, Let us slay our brother, and all his monies will be ours. And Satan made this deed seem fair in their sight. So when they found me in privacy, and I sleeping by my wife's side, they took us both up and cast us into the sea. My wife awoke, startled from her sleep, and forthright became an Ifritah, which is a female demon. She bore me up and carried me to an island and disappeared for a short time. But she returned in the morning and said, Here am I, thy faithful slave, who hath made thee due recompense. For I bore thee up in the waters, and saved thee from death by command of the Almighty. Know that I am a Jinni, and as I saw thee, my heart loved thee by will of the Lord, for I am a believer in Allah and in his apostle, whom heaven bless and preserve. Thereupon I came to thee conditioned as thou sawest me, and thou didst marry me, and see now I have saved thee from sinking. But I am angered against thy brothers, and assuredly I must slay them. When I heard her story, I was surprised, and thanking her for all she had done, I said, "But as to slaying my brothers, this must not be." When I told her the tale of what had come to pass with them from the beginning of our lives to the end, and on hearing it, quoth she, "This night will I fly as a bird over them, and will sink their ship and slay them." Quoth I, "Allah upon thee, do not thus, for the proverb saith, O thou who doest good to him that clothe evil, leave the evil doer to his evil deeds." Moreover, they are still my brothers. But she rejoined, "By Allah, there is no help for it, but I slay them." I humbled myself before her for their pardon, whereupon she bore me up and flew away with me till at last she set me down on the terrace roof of my own house. I opened the doors and took up what I had hidden on the ground, and after I had saluted the folk, I opened my shop and bought me merchandise. Now, when night came on, I went home, and there I saw these two hounds tied up. And when they sighted me, they arose and whined and fawned upon me. But ere I knew what happened, my wife said, "These two dogs be thy brothers." I answered, "And who hath done this thing by them?" And she rejoined, "I sent a message to my sister, and she entreated them on this wise, nor shall these two be released from their present shape till 10 years shall have passed. And now I have arrived at this place on my way to my wife's sister, that she may deliver them from this condition, after their having endured it for 60 years. As I was wending onwards, 60 is 10 years, a score being 20 years. As I was wending onwards, I saw this young man, who acquainted me with what had befallen him, and I determined not to fare hence until I should see what might occur between thee and him. Such is my tale. Then said the Jinni, "Surely this is a strange story, and therefore I give thee the third portion of his blood and his crying." Thereupon quoth the third sheikh, the master of the mare mule, to the Jinni, "I can tell thee a tale more wondrous than these two, so thou grant me the remainder of his blood and of his offence." And the Jinni answered, "So be it." Then the old man began the third sheikh's story. "Know, O Sultan and head of the Jan, that this mule was my wife. Now it so happened that I went forth and was absent 1 whole year, and when I returned from my journey, I came to her by night, and saw a black slave lying with her on the carpet bed, and they were talking and dallying and laughing and kissing and playing the close buttock game. When she saw me, she rose and came hurriedly at me with a gugglet of water, and muttering spells over it, she besprinkled me and said, "Come forth from this thy shape into the shape of a dog." And I became on the instant a dog. She drove me out of the house, and I ran through the doorway, nor ceased running, until I came to a butcher's stall, where I stopped and began to eat what bones were there. When the stall owner saw me, he took me and led me into his house. But as soon as his daughter had sight of me, she veiled her face from me, crying out, "Dost thou bring men to me, and dost thou come in with them to me?" Her father asked, "Where is the man?" And she answered, "This dog is a man whom his wife hath ensorcelled." I like that, ensorcelled. "And I am able to release him." When her father heard her words, he said, "Allah upon thee, O my daughter, release him." So she took a gugglet of water, and after muttering words over it, sprinkled upon me a few drops, saying, "Come forth from that form into thy former form." And I returned to my natural state. Then I kissed her hand and said, "I wish thou wouldest transform my wife, even as she transformed me." Thereupon she gave me some water, saying, "As soon as thou see her asleep, sprinkle this liquid upon her, and speak what words thou heardest me utter. So shall she become whatsoever thou desirest." I went to my wife and found her fast asleep. And while sprinkling the water upon her, I said, pardon me, "Come forth from that form into the form of a mare mule." So she became on the instant a she-mule, and she it is whom thou seest with thine eyes, O Sultan, and head of the kings of the Jann. Then the genie turned towards her and said, "Is this sooth? Is this true?" And she nodded her head and replied by signs, "Indeed 'tis the truth, for such is my tale, and this is what hath befallen me." When the third old man told a tale to the genie, more wondrous than the two preceding, the genie marvelled with exceeding marvel, and, shaking with delight, cried, "Lo, I have given thee the remainder of the merchant's punishment, and for thy sake I have released him." Thereupon the merchant embraced the old men and thanked them, and these sheikhs wished him joy on being saved, and fared forth each one for his own city. Yet this tale is not more wondrous than the fisherman's story, quoth Scheherazade. Asked the king, "What is the fisherman's story?" And she answered by relating the tale of the fisherman and the genie. But I think I shall. We're only 1 hour and 20 minutes in, and the last videos have been going for roughly 2.5 hours. But I'm a bit tired, people of Earth, and I need to go and buy some food for my dinner, and Platz and Platz and Platz. I hate supermarkets. Oh dear goddess, do I hate supermarkets. But it is what it is, people of Earth. trapped in mortality, requiring food and drink and delights and magic and stories. So on that note, I bid you goodbye. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening. Just trying to remember what that title was. The Tale of the Trader with the Gin. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the space-time continuum. And I bid you farewell, people of Earth, all sentient beings, and all inter- and extra-dimensional entities across all of creation, the universal, the multiverses, or the holographic. What is it? The holographic universe. Well, the DMT elves. I started watching a video by Danny Jones about DMT elves being alien communiques. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I'm not going to do DMT to find out. I just find it all academic and interesting. So have a wonderful day and stay safe, stay happy, and stay in love with the ones who love you back. My beautiful ones. Bye for now.